Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. Today we have a very special episode. For those of you that like our 6 rounds format, today we're going to go 8 rounds with 3 very special guests. Our 3 special guests are all award-winning property entrepreneurs. They are the hosts and mentors of the 3-day Blueprint Summer Retreat. And over the next 8 rounds, we're going to look at topics that none of them have heard, none of them are prepared for. And we're going to speak openly about everything we know about high performance, business, wealth, health, and life by design and practice. To kick it off, we're going to go ladies first.
My first question is, obviously in the news at the moment, it's just come out about the social media ban for under 16s. How do you think that's going to affect the young entrepreneurial people that have started businesses online, and what are they going to do going forward?
It's your bag, isn't it, Chris?
It is. Social media and kids is obviously a huge topic, with TikTok being the first one that was like the biggest problem. The reality with social media and business, though, well, actually, clarity, is it businesses that are being cancelled, or is it
I think if you're
16-year-olds?
under 16, you can't hold the account.
So a business can. So you can't raise a profile until 16 now. And in a world where AI is taking over and people can raise profiles quickly, are you going to miss a trick if you're starting at 13, 14? I think it's going to cause an issue. The reality is, as long as it's regulated, you should be able to do it. My opinion would be you should be able to still post at under 16 if it's for a business.
For those who've got kids of a conscious age, how much impact, like how much impact do kids have in buying decisions? So, like if children now won't be able to be basically brainwashed and sold to through social media, how is it going to impact the way that they're informed in what they buy?
I think
Or what they make you buy?
I was overjoyed. I actually saw this post yesterday. I saw this come out yesterday, and it's the first time I've ever posted like a political or like a news post on my profile, because I thought I just don't like getting involved in any of that world. But I actually thought this is the first time I've seen good news for a while. I think what's happening is a lot of the millennials, they've been sucked into this world, unregulated, TikTok, YouTube, everything, and they're just exhausted by it. They're in their rooms, they're online gaming, they're doing all these things. And me and Haley have been talking for a while about the fact that we think our kids might get away with it because schools are starting to ban phones, and now they've done this. Like I feel overjoyed by it, and I think it's going to be a positive thing. I think we're all entrepreneurs. We all are in social media. We use social media for our businesses, but the point is we are not. I try not to be a consumer, but I try to be a producer. Like I create the content rather than consume it. And I think that's what we need to teach our kids to do. And I think it's going to help them do that.
And there is a generation that's been lost to the Western world of highly processed food,
100%.
internet, social media, all this like ding, 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 this like cheap dopamine. One of the biggest things we see through property entrepreneurs, like the whole things we're teaching people is to rewire their brain to not be addicts to everything on a daily basis. Like just turning up and doing a bit of work now is challenging. I think for kids to grow up without that distraction, I mean, I can't see a negative initially.
Well, I don't think it solves the problem, because so my lad, he's not on social media, but he watches YouTube Shorts. He can go online and still use it. He can still physically watch it. He just can't post. So what actually stops a 16-year-old or someone below still being addicted to social media? Because you can still use it, you just can't have a profile.
Well, now in theory you can't use it. In theory it's been, but they've been doing it in Australia for a long time, and apparently they've had some really good results. It's been like to pilot over here, so now they're bringing it across. I'm with you. Like, how are they actually going to do it? How are they going to police it? I don't know. But I know your lad, he started his brownie business.
Yeah,
like that's something amazing that I've seen you do all the time. It's like, is that now going to hinder his ability to create a page?
What's the minimum age for having a company on Company's House?
Good question. I mean, I own that
I
company.
don't think you can be registered until you're 18, because I couldn't, when I was 17, I had to wait until I turned 18 to be listed on it.
So maybe that's just a lever you pull. It's like you need certain things like credit card accounts to take payments, and you need maybe to use social media for marketing. But you have somebody on your team that's an adult that does that stuff.
Well, yeah, all the stuff we share, he's got no hand in actually what gets shared. It is us posting about him. So I think that's absolutely safe. I think that the people who are going to be affected by it is like the child actors or the models who actually need to build a persona.
Yeah, but even when you say that, child actors and child models, like, do you not immediately think that's part of like becoming an adult, not being a kid?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you should protect being a kid as long as you can. But the reality is people do go into that. Like people make money from it. It's a whole career for some people that's about to end because some people can't use social media properly.
What about for you guys, social media opinions in general? Like we're all. I actually realised all four of us are Amazon #1 best-selling authors. It's cool, isn't it?
There we go. I should
That's
have had
cool.
that
Look,
in the
yeah, we
intro.
should
Yeah,
have that in the
nice.
intro, yeah. But we all post pretty prolifically. Like we're on there, whether it's us, our teams, whatever. We'll use it. I mean, we teach entrepreneurs not to be on social media. Like we teach them, like literally avoid it. It's dopamine. It's not good for you. It's a distraction. But then, have we all used this? We've all used it as our secret weapon, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Like one of the things I definitely think so, like firstly on the kids' side, it's going to be a massive like impact on their dopamine, naturally looking after their natural chemical balances, which is a huge positive. But then I've massively utilized it to raise my profile. And yeah, you can get someone else to do it and pay someone else, but the reality at the start of your journey is that you do need to do that stuff yourself. And I was 17. If I'd started a year earlier, I wouldn't have been able to make the most of that. And people know me as the person that started at 17, and it's like quite widespread. And I think that although, yeah, your parents can then have control of it and you have the adult on your side, my parents didn't want us to have a business. They didn't agree with it. They didn't support us. So we never would have been able to make that step. But on the like dopamine chemical side, there's no better thing for kids who are overstimulated, all getting diagnosed with like addiction personalities, ADHD, all of these things that are caused from high levels of dopamine and lack of dopamine.
I think the net result is going to be positive. I think having children not being able to have accounts, the primary thing is to stop them being brainwashed, because it is now changing people's like neuroplasticity of like the way their brain works. And we see it all the time with high performers. Like they're all addicts to whatever, work, sugar, alcohol, nicotine. The world's just built against you. I used to, we've used social media a lot and we still do use it obviously. But the day Harper was born, I went home and then the next day I woke up, I had my newborn baby on my arm, and then I was scrolling through Instagram with my other hand. And I thought, this is pathetic. Like I've literally been given the biggest gift. And that day I deleted it. And that's 2 years and a week ago now. And I don't go on it. When I do have to go on it, I go on there and I think, wow, like I use Sav's phone every now and again. Like you guys did the event the other week. So, I want to have a look at the photos. And every other thing is an advert. It's like, wow, I can't believe.
Painful, yeah.
Yeah, but I just can't believe it. Yeah, I just think
And
it's
all
bonkers.
it's all trained to you as well. So it's like stuff that they've picked up on that you've spoken about or researched or like Googled. And
Well, it's actually moving away from social media now, isn't it? They're going to call it content media or interest media, or it's like it's really just a feed of here's all the stuff you like.
yeah, and it then you buy because you're in like a higher state when you're like scrolling and you're more impulsive because you're getting those like you're chasing that dopamine, and then you see this ad for something that you were talking about, you're like, oh, it's fate. Like everyone thinks it's fate and it's not. They just know how to catch you out.
Building on your point there, Dan, I think one of the biggest things that any of us can do, everyone listening, and the other people that come on PE, like you see them all the time, it's like, I know when someone's a high performer or someone's a busy fool very quickly by just by looking at their phone. And if their phone's constantly lighting up, pinging, notification, social media posts, WhatsApp, and it's just constantly going, I'm like, right, that is just a distraction, and you clearly don't value your focus and attention. And I think social media is just another one of those things. Deleting off your phone, getting rid of all your notifications, and that's just one of those tools to allow you. It's like it's a hack, which makes your life better and actually allows you to focus.
I think from a marketing perspective, the thing that will be most interesting about it, whether it's right or wrong, in about 5 years' time, marketing will change, because if people aren't getting used to being brainwashed by social media young, they probably won't go on it at 16 because it won't be as enticing. So it'll be interesting to see what's actually going to happen to marketing if we can no longer reach that new generation coming through. Like where will you actually reach them? It's not TV anymore, so it won't be social media. What's next?
And I don't know if it's one of my passing thoughts, just as we're discussing it, is it might be there's another curve which I think is on its way out, which is we all grew up with this world of success, celebrity, fame, being this like everyone wants to be rich and famous. You're now seeing more and more cases or transparency of the fact nobody wants to be rich and famous.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe this actually starts to, because social media elevated that, right? And you just look at it now and you think actually like that might even curb that, which would be helpful.
Yeah, 100%. I think the only thing I'm concerned about with it is, for example, like we do a lot of AI. You know, we're all into AI. Like we showcase AI. We talk about AI all the time. And the people that are the best with AI tend to be people like Katie. Like Katie opens Claude and shows me what she's doing. I'm like, how are you doing this? Because when you're younger, you just get these tools, they just make more sense to you, and you're just naturally better. And I guess the thing I'm a bit worried about is, like, I grew up with MySpace, Facebook, so I'm relatively good at it. So I've used it to scale my businesses and do all these things. And I am a bit worried that I don't think social media is a good thing when you consume, as I've said. But as a creator, very powerful. And are they going to lose that skill set to naturally understand, right, this is how I'm going to grow my business using social media account? Like the
Yeah.
younger people today just get AI and they can do it.
It's going to be like helping your nan again, like with how to log into
Yeah, maybe,
Facebook,
yeah.
isn't it? It's like going to have
It feels
another
like when you showed me
generation of
AI.
that. Yeah.
On that note, Josh,
Right, I've got one here which I'd love to talk to you guys about. So this is what I call unteachable lessons. Okay, so these are lessons that we can do some quick fire ones here that we stand up on stage and we teach to our property entrepreneurs. We talk them through it. We say this, we say that, we give them some guidance or advice. So one of them, more revenue doesn't mean more profit. Like we say, more revenue doesn't mean more profit. You can grow your business, doesn't mean you're gonna have more profit. But people, you can't teach people that. They've got to go and experience it for themselves. Go, oh yeah, they were right. What are some examples of things that you constantly find you're saying to delegates, saying to people at our events that people hear, but they don't necessarily listen to, and they've got to experience for themselves? Like, what you guys think? I'll give you a couple more. So more revenue doesn't mean more profit. I think don't recruit a dynamo. It's one of my favorite ones. So like, until you've recruited a dynamo, well,
never heard that before.
I say I can't. I say it quite a lot. Don't recruit
Probably
a
true.
dynamo. They're totally unemployable. They're absolutely nightmare. And I think another one that I really like is just the difference between wealth creation and wealth preservation. And at some point in your journey, you're not going to want to leverage everything up to the hills. You're going to want to pay off debt and actually take less money by doing a deal, but have less risk, have more kind of certainty and more stability over it. What you guys got?
I've got a couple. The first one is like, don't burn the candle at both ends. And
That's a good one.
I like, my whole business is built on it, but until people have experienced it, they don't really understand what you mean. And it's like, it's really hard to get across to someone. It's like everyone thinks that they're like undefeatable. They think that they've got this like higher power that they can keep going. And until that crumbles, you don't really realize that you are actually a human, and you can't just keep pushing and pushing. And then when people experience it, they're like, right, I've got to do something about this now. But yeah, that's definitely one.
So people have to like go to that extreme where they've just done it for too long and literally like almost fall apart to realize, oh yeah, there's a different answer to this, and I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and that's like we talk about a lot on Property Entrepreneur. It's like the health side of things,
Yeah.
and that like actually the basics that you do, but it's so easy to do that. It's so easy not to, and that's the trap that a lot of people that we see fall into.
I got one. I think most people think paid marketing's expensive. Like when you actually talk to people about, they're scared of doing it. They'll just go organic. They'll post all of the time.
That's me, by the way.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
not just for a lesson.
Yeah,
But I'm
100%.
about to pull the trigger. You've been helping me. I'm about to do it. So let's see what happens.
It's that reality of the amount of time and effort it takes to put a team together, the posts together, the editing, to do something organic, for then to try and sell to that audience, and just that audience is so much hard work. Whereas you can flick on a paid ad campaign and have leads through the door that you can sell to immediately. I think that's one of the biggest ones for me.
I got two. My one, which I got told and never listened to, and I always say nobody's going to listen to it, and they won't, is slow and steady wins the race. Like I was lucky. I had two like really pessimistic, saged mentors, and they used to call me like Mr. Shoot for the Stars. Like I do one HMO and then I want to build 10 houses, and they're like, whoa, like hang on a minute. I think the reality is slow and steady does win the race, and over 20 years, we're one of very few names that are still around. Whereas everyone else is like feast and famine. That'd be one. The other one, and this is a new one and probably a controversial one, and I'm still figuring out how to word it, is beast mode is a false economy. And like beast mode doesn't work. And I think Kate will probably like it. But it's like the feast and famine. If you were to do a net curve, I reckon the feast and famine, like cutting weight, training, do a big bulk, let's eat, protein powder on Cocoa Pops and put on 10, 15 kilos. Then do an aggressive cut and go down to single, then you bounce back and bounce back. Yes, the trend is like that, but I think it's so slow. If you actually just did little revisions like that, what I'm seeing now, I'm trying to rewire my brain, is that's actually more effective to achieve the linear growth.
It's so hard to do though, isn't it? Because I think as entrepreneurs, we're quite extreme.
Yeah.
I've noticed whenever you kind of, you're speaking through a problem with most entrepreneurs, they're saying, right, so I either do this or I do this. You go, okay, that's very black and white. What's the gray? What's like the middle? And there's normally like a middle bit where you, rather than go to the gym 6 days a week and cut 1,500 calories or don't do anything, there's like, why don't you just go 3 days a week and just do 2,000 calories? Is that a good idea? And they go, yeah, but we can't even see it. We can't see that middle. And it's like, we're always at that end or that end of the spectrum. Finding the middle is really hard.
Yeah, I was actually speaking to someone about this yesterday at a networking event. Is that a lot of entrepreneurs have like either grown up in chaos or put themselves in chaos, highly stressful situations, and that's what they're used to. So when they get into a position where they're like quite stable and almost like baseline, it's really uncomfortable. Whereas chaos is our comfortable. That's where we are actually in our comfort zone. So when you take it out and you go into a space that's better for your nervous system, better to live and go on that like steady wave, like you said, Dan, it's really uncomfortable for entrepreneurs because they are addicted to that chaos and they don't know how to come out of it.
But I think it's because we're always taught that. It's like speed to market, crest of a wave. You have to take the opportunity. So everything is about getting there as quickly as possible and then holding on. We spoke on the way up about what when you start a business, what's more important, your health or your wealth? And it's actually that hustle mode is like, I'll forget my health for 6 months, a year. I'll build the portfolio. I'll buy the first deal. I'll work 11-hour days, because then you rebalance your health afterwards. If you went for health first and actually said, well, no, I'm going to work 6 hours, I'm not going to burn the candle at both ends, would you ever get to the point of actually being successful? Or do you have to have that first bit of beast mode?
Well, I think that's why it's an unteachable lesson, is because it's like it's all well and good being in your ivory tower with like the wealth of life on your side, but some of it is young people won't listen because they want to do it regardless. I think sometimes it's like the reality is you have to open the taps, right? Like I burnt myself out for, I don't know, 15 years every year, multiple times to get to where I needed to get to. Because when I didn't have money, wisdom, experience, all I had was time, energy, and enthusiasm. And if that's all you can throw at it, you have to compensate for everything else, right? I could do a deal now in 30 minutes and have it funded within an hour. Whereas when I was a kid, that would have been 6 months worth of work. So I think you're right. I think there's a time and place for everything.
It's interesting as well. So a stat which I love, which there's a few definitions to this, so you need to like look into it. But you're 10 times more likely to be a millionaire than to have a six-pack.
You
It's
do
bonkers,
love
isn't
that
it?
one.
I love it because it's bonkers. Because
Is that because you are a millionaire and you haven't got a six pack?
yeah, and that's honestly that I was talking about. Okay, wait, that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to have both, and I'm like, to be in that elite, that bracket is so rare. But it's like, okay, what does being a millionaire mean? It means you have to learn these blueprints. You have to go beast mode. You have to learn how to do deals, scale companies, make money. Like, and it's actually really, you have to learn so much to make this thing happen. Yeah, being a six pack is just eating less calories and walking. All you have to do is walk and eat less calories, and you can get a six pack if you want to. And it's bonkers, isn't it? But that's the reality of people. It's like we know what to do, but to actually execute, that's the hard bit. Because like we teach you these blueprints, like can you actually do it or not do it? And that's the difference between those people that do really well and those that don't.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the lessons as well, is that like you have to have accountability.
100%.
It's like I don't think it matters how successful you are. You've got to have some sort of accountability, and you won't ever learn that until you've had that and experienced it. So it's really hard. It's like even when I first started going to networking events and learning and educating myself, I was like, oh my God, I can't spend this money on that. Like that just doesn't make sense. But then when you're in it, you just wish that you had like a little ball that you could see and give to other
future.
people as well, so that they could see what journey they're going to go on. It's really hard to you can't see it yourself, and then you're in it and you're so desperate for everyone else to see it, but you have to just kind of take that leap before you actually get to that point. It's really weird.
I'd say something as to why this is important, and I've said this, and everyone I've ever said it to has not either listened to me or believed me, is that your drive and your desire will die. And I think that window of opportunity is about 7 years. Like at the beginning, and I've sat on boards so many times and seen companies go on that journey, and the founders like, I'm never going to be tired of this. I love it. I'm going to be doing this till I die. And I'm like, honestly, I can tell you, you're going to get to a point where running a business becomes a slog, a day-to-day challenge of HR and legal disputes, client failure, service, falling through the floor. And you're just going to get to a point where you physically can't do it anymore. And if you haven't made your money by the time you get to there, either it will take you down or you'll have to pack it up and you didn't actually win. So in the same way you have enough energy to do anything, you've got to get in, quickly make it, and then get out. Doesn't mean you have to sell. you could get out from the exec role or like have someone else run your business, or you can sell, but you will run out of fumes. And at that point, if you haven't made it, you would have to start again.
I've got an unteachable lesson that follows on from that, and it's one I'm still trying to learn all of the time. More cash flow opportunity doesn't necessarily mean more wealth. Like some of the things I've done with my time, because there's an opportunity to make some quick cash, has cost me money in the long run. And if you had told me that 2 years ago, I wouldn't believe you. But when you start to implement stuff from a wealth strategy, so you're working through the levels, you actually realize by spending that 30 days, 90 days, a year working on this cash flow opportunity that might make you 100 grand, you might have missed the opportunity to make 200 and then a recurring income and the asset growth. That was a huge one for me, because that shiny penny syndrome where someone puts an opportunity in front of you and goes, it's only going to be this much time and I'll pay you this much. That's so hard to say no to.
100%. Chris.
Well, it follows on from your wanting to get out of the game, actually, that as the business grows and you get tired of HR and legal disputes and people, should we be using AI to replace our employees?
Interesting.
I've got a view. Did a podcast on this the other day. I think AI right now for me is very much an accelerator. It's like whatever you're doing right now, it speeds everything up. And obviously, we like every month on stage when people share like AI stuff, I'm like always like, this is amazing. Like Whisperflow the other month, or Claude, Cowork, and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, wow. And I'm just trying to implement it in my business as quick as I can. But still, for me right now, given that I'm not like a techie person, like I still don't really know how to use Claude Code or do all that stuff. In the moment, it's just an accelerator to do things better and do things faster. And I think as well, I'm trying to actively not recruit more people, like, and try and use AI instead. But for me, that's where it is at the moment. I'm sure it's going to change, but right now I can't see that. But maybe it's coming. Like I'm a novice when it comes to this stuff.
I would probably agree. It's like an accelerant for your business, definitely at the moment anyway. And AI will, when we're using like chat, Claude, Grok, like all these things, they tell you what you want to hear. So like you think you have the best business idea in the world. If you spoke to a person with experience in that industry, they might be like, this is way oversaturated. Like you're not going to get anywhere there. You need to niche down. You tell ChatGPT, it's going to tell you it's the best thing in the world. And then you go along with it, and then it all crumbles around you because you didn't get any actual advice from people that have lived that experience. But it does allow people that maybe didn't have access to build a business before to start looking at building a business and get informed on how to do that. And it's never been easier to build a small business. It's just, how are you going to keep it? How are you going to actually build the wealth around it and turn it into something that's sustainable and long term?
I did a session for the board on it, and I said, what with regards to like what AI actually is and where it's going, it's basically like an exoskeleton for your body. It's like, have you seen those exoskeletons the army use? They can lift a ton and they can still run a 7-minute mile. So it like completely supercharges it. But even though you can, it doesn't mean you should, or even though you could, it doesn't mean you should. And what I mean by that is, what I've noticed is I can now put in an instruction and create my own logo, brand impact, landing page, stuff like that. And then out will come the result. What I think AI does is it gets rid of that bit in the middle that you might have paid an individual to do, but somebody's still got to sit there and put this stuff in. Then they've got to audit it and tweak it. And I've done the create a logo. Here's a spreadsheet. Here's a forecast. I still want somebody else to run the machine. I don't want to be sitting there going, why have you changed the logo again? Why have you moved that color? I need somebody else to do that, but I'm still going to be the one putting the input in, and you can close that gap. And I think the key metric is revenue per head. Is you'd have some business, if you're making in the UK about £100,000 revenue per head, that's deemed to be like a good solid revenue in order to get margin. Whereas you look at some businesses now that are making £100 million per head, and it's like the way that you do that is to leverage them rather than them paying them 20, 25, £30 an hour. You can pay £30 a month or £30 a year for a piece of AI, and it will hockey stick their output.
Does that mean we need to change the employees then? So rather than getting rid of employees, because contractors are now getting to the point you don't need them. You don't need to build a website. You don't need a coder anymore. Like there's so many industries, copywriting, all of that's gone, but it's been in a really short space of time. Last year, ChatGPT couldn't make a picture without messing the faces up or like things being spelt wrong. Now it can make really detailed graphics. Are we getting to the place then where it's maybe not, you don't have employees, but you actually just have people who are experts in using AI to do the doing.
Would you know one of the fastest growing job titles at the minute and undersupplied job titles in the AI space? Anyone heard of it?
No.
No.
It's
Prompt engineer.
Yeah, prompt engineers. Prompt engineers are basically, and we'll go through this phase like when social media was new and anyone who had a Facebook account was a social media manager. And actually, they don't really know what they're doing. But prompt engineers is like the fastest growing role because you want someone to come into the business. You guys have probably used, I now use ChatGPT to write prompts for Manus and for Claude. And it's really powerful, but you've got to go through the motions of understanding that. And I think bringing people in who actually are prompt engineers, they actually understand it, they know it inside out, and they can play the platforms, that can be very valuable. Or even just finding, like, we've got a graphic designer, and I thought our graphic designer's going to be out of work. But actually, she's just become really savvy with using AI now. So we're paying her to run the AI. And actually, I don't think her job's, I think apart from becoming more enjoyable, it's not changed at all, really.
Yeah, I think the one thing that AI tends to lack is the emotional IQ that humans have, and that's what we need the humans to kind of have that touch to give it the right prompts and things like that. And it's just a game with AI, and you've got to keep using it and keep building on it, but have other people doing it because again, if I sit down on AI, I could be there for hours. You get sucked into it. It's almost like another dopamine hit. Like if you're doing it all yourself, you're going to get dragged into it. But if you've got a team doing it for you, you can reduce their hours, maximize the output, have a smaller team potentially, and like you said, have the experts in play. You're not the one getting sucked into it, but you can still maximize it for your business.
I do think we're getting into a world though, especially with Claude Code. So Claude Code was this first iteration where you didn't actually need, so vibe coding is the new phrase, and it's just it does all the work and you just vibe with it to get it to do what you need it to do. That's like level one. There are people already linking these things together and creating ecosystems where it does the low level stuff. Like I'd say, even though we're fairly advanced in AI and what we're doing in Property Entrepreneur, what we hear people talking about, we're probably still level one and there's people operating at level 5. I genuinely think that acceleration is going to be huge. I do think customer connection is going to be at an all-time low. Like you can't replace humans. People want to connect with you. They want to talk to you. Some of the best deals you do are in person, over a beer at 2:00 in the morning in a random bar somewhere. Like you that connection will never die. But I do think we're going into a space where employees will become less and less. You won't have admin. You won't have social media, like social media managers. That's like one of the biggest risk jobs at the moment because it can do it without any like knowledge. We can literally prompt and be gone.
I still don't think it's going to be that. I just looking at the way the world works, and people saying AI is going to take over. The example I gave on the board when I was training the board members was, have you been to Rotherham? Like we're in Rotherham. I was like, you can walk around Rotherham. Nothing has changed in 100 years. There is not going to be robots running around delivering milk like next week. I can assure you. There's this curve. I think the biggest thing at the minute isn't the rest of the world's going to end. I think it's the top 5%, probably even less, of businesses that harness it effectively. At the minute, we're just going to rock it because nobody else is using it. Eventually, the laggards will have to catch on. But I think there's that big shift. And I think that's the big thing is if you can harness it, it's crazy. And the fact that it's so cheap, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to a point where actually, because if you look at the economics of it, Daniel Priestley talks about it on Diary of a CEO recently. He was saying about it's not financially viable to build these data centers. It just doesn't work. So it might get to a point where this drags on. I think one of the biggest risks we've got at the minute, honestly, to the global economy is we've just had SpaceX's IPO.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually, although that valuation is bonkers, I think it will actually grow into it, same as Tesla did. There's logic to make sense why it would work. The biggest issue now is it's stoked to the markets for Anthropic and OpenAI to come and do theirs. Those business models carrying those valuations, I think could be literally, it could be the straw that breaks the camel's back with the stock market. That's then a big problem. And then whether it causes that or it just goes it goes through the motions, it's got to be commercially viable at some point. And it might be that actually it becomes this superpower that you've got to pay £1,000 for, £100,000 for. And it's like, at the minute we get it for free. And if you're not using it, you're missing a trick.
100%. What do you got if you guys were going to give a quick fire use case? Okay, because I get sick of like people talking about AI and how it's going to take over the world and kill everybody, and it just gets boring. I just want to know, right, what are you actually using it for? Like, I was like, AI is amazing. If you're going to give a very quick fire, like this is what I'm using it for in my business, what would it be?
Right now, for me, building websites, replacing all branding online, all interactions, and CRMs in the back end as well.
Nice.
I mean, Whisperflow is not actually like AI, but it's just a phenomenal tool.
Yeah, I
It
love it.
6 speeds everything I do. So that plus now having OpenAI or ChatGPT as a graphic designer for doing slide decks, it's like talking to a graphic designer who knows your topic inside out. You
Yeah.
can be like, do me a slide that explains what to do for the board the other day, mezzanine finance, a triangle with a couple of bullet points, and it's world class artwork with world class content. And then really all I have to do is stand there and explain, here's a real life example of how I use this. Yeah, and it's bonkers.
Yeah, for me, it's presentation building. So I'm doing a lot of networking, raising the profile, getting out there and doing those presentations, but also changing the wording of things to match my ideal client and like books that I read that I like, business books. I summarize them and then I get Claude or something like that to actually do the work that the book is telling me to do because it has all my business information.
That's really cool.
So that's like 10x. The build your story brand, like that's my next project within Breathe is
Nice.
to do that book but using AI so that I don't have to sit there and spend hours. They've got AI prompts for it now all on the audiobook. So it's
Beautiful.
Nicely done. Next one. So this is a bit of an open debate one. So success is on Property Entrepreneur on all of the programs, including the 3-day retreat, we teach successes, which is the mantra that the definition of success is whatever it means to you at that certain time. So if we throw that around, what actually is success? When people say about being successful, what is that for you? You know, right now where you are, what is success? What actually is success as a term, phrase, concept?
Okay, I can go first. I've thought about this a lot actually over the last few months, and I've come up with like a soundbite for what I think it is for me, and it's a bit of a double entendre, but it basically means for me, success is having whatever you want. Okay, whatever you want. So I'm in a place now where I can have whatever I want. If I want to buy something, have something, I can have it. I can have a better car. I can do all of these things. But the key is I don't actually want very much. I'm in a place where I really, if you told me now to go on Robin, probably bad idea, I was going to say Robin High Street, but go onto like in London and you've got 20 grand, 50 grand, whatever you can spend it, I would really struggle. Like I wouldn't really know what to do. I wouldn't really know what to buy because I don't really want very much. So that's where I've got to is like actually having, for me, it's like low overheads, having like you're happy with everything, great family, going on holidays that you feel good about going on rather than try to keep up with the Joneses and just try and spend 20, 50 grand on these crazy holidays just so you can put it on Instagram, and actually wanting things that you genuinely want and being able to have any of them when you want. That's where I'm up to with it.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Going off the back of that, I think for me, like the general definition for everyone should be success is your own happiness, not someone else's definition of happiness and not someone else's version of Instagram or TikTok happiness. And that's like going back to the social media thing. That's what so many people get caught up in is other people's version of happiness. My happiness, I'm quite content with a very like chilled lifestyle. Like as long as I can cook fresh food, like buy fresh food, like eventually from like a farm shop, local butchers, that sort of thing. That's success to me. I don't want to be in processed stuff all the time, but I don't want like a 20-bedroom house that's like got views into the Atlantic Ocean. Like I'm not bothered about any of that. For me, it's the very like just the real basic stuff, but at a high level. Like being able to do all of your day-to-day stuff, but at a really good, comfortable level.
Yeah, I like that. I think we speak a lot about life by design. Like, but I think I'll be honest, I think it's really hard to design a life. Like, you don't know what you like, you don't know what you want. You know things that make you happy. Mo Goldat does a great thing on happy lists. Write a list of all the things that make you happy, and they tend to cost no money. Sitting having a coffee, watching the world go by, being by the sea, going for a walk. So all these things make happiness. I think it's going through the motions of building a life by design, but then having the ego strength to not live a life by comparison. So not even by comparison, like having, what's the word I'm looking for? Not comparison. It's when you don't have to make leniencies for other people. So it's like you're actually living your life by design and you've not taken anyone else into consideration. That's the word. Not living a life of consideration. You have nailed it so far on that you're happy where whether people think you should have a nice car or not have a nice car, you actually just don't care. Like, I think that's real success. And I think that's actually quite hard to get to.
It is.
Locations you live in, houses you have, deals you're doing, people expect it to come with something else. And if you actually care what they think, it takes away the happiness and it actually takes away success.
Well, Psychology of Money and The Art of Spending Money are just two fantastic books
Yeah.
I've gone back to recently. The old one gone back to, the new one just read. And I just think that it's just gold. Like everything in there is about basically that. But it is a trap because when you haven't got money, you want everything. So then that drives you there. And then you get to everything and you're like, wow, this is a bit of a false dawn. For me, not success normally means whatever I don't have. So I'm like, right, I'm having a chilled year and I'm like, right, I need mission, I need purpose, I need growth, I need all this. It's definitely not the trappings of wealth. Like I've fallen into that mistake again, where I've got like the house, the like all that stuff. And next year, when we talk about it's what I haven't got. This year I've got sweet spot, low workload, stuff like that. And I'm already thinking for next year, like when you've gone around the track enough times, by the time you get to like summer, you normally know what the next chapter is going to be. And I think mine is really going from having loads of expenses to going back to having like none, because none of them make you happy and actually they increase the pressure. Not none of them make you happy. You've got to scratch the itch. You've got to have the stupid car to realize you don't want the stupid car.
With that said, I think people often start their journey with us, and we've all started that journey, and it's like at the start you think you're doing all this stuff because you want the big house, the amazing car, the Rolex, all these kind of things. I think a lot of us have we're all at different stages and we've all been on that journey in some way, shape or form. And I think, I remember when I got my first nice car, I was like, this is a nice car. I couldn't believe it. And I enjoyed it for about 2 weeks, and then it was just the payments kept going out, and I was like, this is just not. I don't value that car. It's just sitting there, and I have no value for that car anymore. And I think anything I've ever worked for and got, it's the happiness has lasted about 1 to 2 weeks.
What's that quote that's been doing the rounds at the minute? The Jimmy Carr one about attainment.
It's not the pursuit of happiness; it's the happiness of the pursuit.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
it's exactly what dopamine is. It's
Yeah.
the pursuit and drive chemical. That's what we're all craving, and we just want more and more of it. So you get the actual thing, and you're like, "Oh, what's next?"
Yeah.
And is that not okay to be in that? You think about the hedonic Ferris wheel. The best day of having my R8 and probably my Rolls Royce was the day before I actually bought it. Like, because on the way up,
and the day you got rid of them.
and the day I got rid of them, yeah, and the day, well, I still haven't got rid of the Rolls Royce, but I'm trying to. Like on the way up the Ferris wheel, you're watching the YouTube videos, you're zooming in on, I've got to have this feature and all that. Once you get the keys and you get in it, you're like, that was an anticlimax.
He says in that podcast with the pursuit of happiness things, he said having things isn't fun, it's wanting things and getting things.
But is that not cool? Like, I like that. I love
Yeah.
But that is good. So I've got a friend. He's a very, very successful guy. He's done really well for himself. But he's always been very, very savvy, and he's got lots of cash around him. And I never used to understand, because he would like go, right, I want to buy like a foldable bike to go into London. I'm like, really? And he'd obsess, right? And he'd keep talking. I was like, dude, just buy a bike. Let's stop. Just buy one. But his journey of like 12 months of like fantasizing over this bike, he could buy 10 of, like 15, he could buy as many as he wanted, and then getting it. And I never used to understand why he did it, because if I want a foldable bike, I'd just go to the shop and buy a foldable bike. But what I realized was that 12 months, that's where the value is. It's the fun, it's the excitement, it's the research. It's like, oh, I can't wait. Which one am I going to get? And now I really tend to take my time with these big purchases and like almost obsess a bit, because that is the actual enjoyable bit. The bit when you get it, it's like, oh, it's just a foldable bike.
Because it does just become the new standard, right?
Exactly.
Whatever it is, you have the thing, and then it's just the new normal. Like it's novelty rather than normality that's enjoyable. I think pulling it back to the successes life cycle of it as well. So every year we choose our successes, and we've acknowledged that it's fine to go through the gears and that will change. I think that is actually, and that's one of the reasons when I created the blueprint like 15 years ago, I think of life as being like a book, and you want to have every chapter to be a page turner. If it was 50 years of being frugal and saving your money and dying on your deathbed with whatever you want, like that for some people might not be all they could have got from their life. Whereas when you've lived on a narrowboat, and you've lived in a mansion, and you've driven a van, and you've driven a Rolls Royce, and you've done a bulk, and you've done a weight car, like I maybe it's a dynamo thing, but I personally think that page turning chapter of a book of every year having a completely different chapter. Some stuff stays and you keep it forever. Some stuff is just a stop and you try it, you sack it off and you move on.
But that's the thing. That's why we could keep going around the track, because by the time you get to the end of summer, you've done those things. You become a new person. You've got new perspectives, new likes, new dislikes, and you've got a new set of problems, that you've then got to solve, which is why we then go back into autumn and just do it again. It's that cycle of constantly thinking, right, this year's year, I want to buy the car. Okay, this year's year, I actually want to spend nothing and just focus on other things. And that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
The best, either the best or worst. So when we talk about successes, we create the year of, which is the chapter of our life. And in business, it's the headline strategy. Just a quickly rapid fire to finish. What's the best or worst or both year ofs you've ever done?
Mine was last year. Mine was the year of flying solo, and it was all about being comfortable with myself again and actually just living life.
That's the
And
best.
that it was really enjoyable, and I met amazing people through it, which wasn't the point of it. It was meant to be for me, but because I got so comfortable being me, I was more comfortable being around other people and getting to know them, and I met the right people then, which was good fun.
Nice.
The one that comes to my head, ironically, is living the dream, which was I remember my objectives were dream house, dream car, and dream body, but it was my stuff. It was like dream body was the cut, dream house was renovating the home we'd already bought, and then my dream car was a Suzuki Jimny. And I still look back at it now, and it's like, does everyone know what they are? Little 4x4.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, 2-seater. So I had to get rid of it when the kids came. But it's still my favorite car that I've ever had in my life, and I was just so happy with all those things.
Mine's this year, network, net wealth. Like I said about it earlier, cash flow being that crippling thing as well as a good thing. I've always been good at making money, but I've never put that down into assets. So having a year where I can actually build that, because I think to sort of round off from me on what success is being able to change what you do completely and have a whole reset and still being financially secure. That
Nice.
freedom of, this is my new me and that's what I'm going to do this year. I think that's success.
Yeah, I mean, I think financial independence is the number one tick. It's like the only game in town until you've got it. Whether you have to burn out or whatever, I think financial independence. My best year of, I think the more times you do it, the better you get. Because a lot of us have said this year or last year, like mine is year of the sweet spot this year because it's exactly what I want right now. The worst one I did was when I did year of the 12-hour work week when I was trying to retire for the first time. And it was just horrendous. I was like limiting myself to 3 hours work a day. And I was sitting in coffee shops drinking books at like 10 in the morning every day thinking, this is rubbish. This is boring. This is not what I signed up for. Katie.
Are most founders unemployable rather than actually entrepreneurial? And is it something that they can learn or something that you tend to just be born with?
I think I'd be, I have done jobs, even when I've been self-employed, I've been like a trade. I would say I'm a really good worker. Like I turn up early, I stay late, I work hard. I wouldn't do it out of choice, but I would say in that capacity, I'm a good worker. I'm probably now unemployable because I wouldn't choose to do it, but I think a lot of my traits are desirable I'd like employees to have more of my traits.
I'd agree with that. I'd say I'm really employable. Like I would be the best employee. Being a tempo, being the first thing. Like I love serving people. Genuinely like getting the job done. I like being praised. And actually, I find entrepreneurship exhausting because it's quite lonely. I don't get the pat on the back. I don't get the things. You get the funnel of all of the worst problems. You have to deal with them, and then no one says thank you. So for me, I think I'd be a fantastic employee. But again, I wouldn't choose to be one anymore. And I think that's that's a big thing when it comes to this. So sometimes those people who are unemployable because they are sporadic, skittish, they've got all these ideas. I don't think that's traits of a good entrepreneur. I think that's bad habits that need to be put through systems to build a business. And I think that's where lots of businesses go wrong. If you think you've got entrepreneurial energy because you don't fit into any job title, sometimes that isn't a reason to start a company because you still need structure. Like strategy and structure is the only things that make you successful, not entrepreneurial energy. Because I think there's loads of entrepreneurs who think they could do it, but actually try and put rubber to the road and they don't tend to work.
I think dynamos are probably unemployable, aren't they? Have you ever employed a dynamo that's been good?
Well, this was funny. Like I remember I said this it was on stage at one of our events, and Adam just started looking at me like, just give me evil. So I was like, what's going on? He went, a new person's here. I won't say who they are. The new person's here, and they're a dynamo. Don't keep saying that on stage. And then about 2 months later, I went, how'd it go? And he went, yeah, we had to let them go. I was like, here we go. Don't recruit dynamo. But I'm my wealth dynamics is like, when I do it, I'm quite well rounded at the top. I sit in the mechanic side of stuff. So I'm quite unemployable because what I've learned is, and this is why I think most business partnerships don't actually work, and this is a totally different topic, but you normally have someone that's a worker. So Chris, maybe you're a worker, you're a temper, you work, you turn up, you do the work. Whereas you normally get the other person that's a bit more entrepreneurial. It's all about how can they do the least amount of work possible. And that's what I'm always about. It's like when I'm looking at my list today, I'm thinking, like, how do I keep this stuff high value? How do I get it off my desk so I don't have to do it? And how do I basically increase my hourly rate? So as an employee, that just fundamentally, that mindset, just it's the right mindset if you own the company, because it's like that's where I believe everyone should be thinking. It should be do nothing, delegate everything. And we teach so much on PE about getting team systems and just basically getting stuff away from you because you are the most high value person in your business. And I don't know if that's because I've worked with Dan for so many years, but it's just been drummed into me that honestly, when I do a task that I feel like is a bit too involved, too in the business, or like just noise, I like physically feel a bit like ill. I literally don't even want to do it. I've got to get off my plate. I've got to get it done. But I know there's some people that like that's what's actually holding them back, and it's like they are so focused on the day-to-day, the noise, that they can't elevate. And I think everyone should be trying to elevate. That's the game. It's like moving up the gears.
We was out for drinks on Sunday, me and a load of developer friends, and some of them are developers in they literally build houses. Some of them were developers like me, as in like I never even go to the site. And yesterday, I was saying, "Oh, how's everyone's Monday going?" And then one of them sent a picture of they just knocked the back out of a house. They said because we talked about wealth dynamics at the pub, and there's a picture of me, and they said, "Oh, we've been a big shift. We've got to knock all this out today. It's like 8 hours of demolition." I said, and I just took a picture of me. I said, "Well, the most stressful thing I've done today is walk to the barbers." I said, "Oh yeah, but I have got a massage at 3 o'clock." And he was like, if there was nothing to define the different profiles, like me and the other dynamo, we're just like mowing the lawn, chilling, thinking the tempos are out there doing what they do.
But they love it.
But they love it.
Yeah.
He couldn't think of anything worse than sitting there dealing with a problem. He's like, just tell me what to do and I'll get it done.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'd agree with you guys. Like I think I'm really employable, and I think my biggest problem is that now I know how to run a business, like using the blueprints. If I work for someone else's business, it really winds me up when they're not running it efficiently. And I have to just sit there and watch it because as an employee, yeah, you can give ideas and stuff, but there is a line that can be crossed as well in where you're trying to give too much advice and stuff like that. And when you have your own business, you kind of just want to turn around and be like, what are you doing? Like you need to sort this out. And the reality is most people don't know how to run a business, which is why the blueprint exists. People don't follow this stuff in normal day-to-day life. And it's so frustrating for people who do have that entrepreneurial mindset to be employees. So I think they are employable, but I think they just get so frustrated that they can't stay there.
We see so many people every year that are employed, and they come and they speak to us, they come to our events, they come, and then a lot of them, some of them, I'd say like most of them that commit and go for it, they generally end up quitting their jobs at the right time. I don't think we preach quit your job, take your time, get your cash flow sorted, and then do it if you want to, if you're not happy. And I don't think entrepreneurship's the answer for everybody. But when we meet those people, what would you guys say? Those people that are employed now, they've got their job, they're working, and you're going to meet them. What is like normally the defining entrepreneurial attribute or thing you pick up on that you go that trait that you go, right, you're going to be fine. You could get rid of that safety net, the 4, 5, 10 grand a month job, whatever you're doing, and you're going to be fine if you quit and you become an entrepreneur. What's the one thing you look for?
They're usually frustrated by how slow moving the company they're in is, or their inability to change. They'll be like,
Okay.
I want to do better in this role, but they just don't listen to me, or this is going wrong. Like they can see that it could be better. It's just the bravery to build it yourself. That's usually the thing I'd say.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know about the one thought I thought when Casey was speaking was their happiness to settle. Like, I think what happens with people in employees and jobs is to them their job is going to work, and in most cases they actually hate it, and like they might even speak badly of it, and they talk about I'm looking at writing the Living Off Steam book at the minute, talks about people who basically count down their lives of like to their next holiday or the next when they're actually gonna retire. I think the reason entrepreneurs might be more unemployable is because we're not prepared to settle. If we're not happy, we're not prepared to settle. If the standards aren't good enough, we're not prepared to settle. If things aren't working, we're not prepared to settle. And I think that's a key differentiator between like the other way is employees who can't be employed. is ones who won't settle. I just can't settle for anything less than what I want or what I can see or what I think should be done.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And now that you've said it like that, I'm like, that is like the exact words I was trying to get out. And it is, you just, when you start seeing it from different perspectives, and like you just asked, like, what is the trait that people have? I think like the first thing is that they just show up in the first instance. So they obviously want more from life. If they've made their own way there, they've got a reason to be there. And I think generally that they just they just know that they can't live life for someone else the whole time. And you get a vibe. I think a lot of it's energy. I don't necessarily think they have to have like particular traits sometimes. I think like you just pick up good energy and good vibes from people as well. Like you all have a gut feeling sometimes. Like some people walk in a room, you're like, they're gonna kill it. Like they're gonna do absolutely amazing. Other people, you're like, not sure they're quite right for this. Like I think that they're actually quite content in their job and they're just pushing it a little bit.
I think the thing that I've noticed is because all the things you said are absolutely spot on. They're students, they turn up, they put the energy in, they commit, they get involved. But I genuinely think it goes back to Henry Ford quote, which is like those who think they can and those who think they can't are generally both right. And I think those people that come in and they go like, I can do this, I can commit to this, I can make it happen, I can make it work, like I can do this. They can. Like it might not be as quick, it might take a bit longer. There might be as a linear path like they're hoping for. But I think those people that can and believe they can will stick with it and they can make anything happen. But those that doubt themselves constantly and those that don't genuinely believe it, those are the ones that fall apart.
Yeah, I think there's a resilience aspect in there as well. Like
100%,
those that are more resilient tend to get a little bit further, and you learn that as you go. But the people that I've noticed, like for me, I got sacked and I got put in a really uncomfortable position, which meant I had to go full time. And I made that decision because I was in the right network at the time to make that decision. But if I hadn't been put in that uncomfortable position, I probably wouldn't have made that leap.
You got
So
a round of
it's
applause.
yeah, it
You
was
told
really
everyone
weird.
you've been sacked and everyone cheered.
Yeah, and you come up to me and you're like, "This is great news," and I was like, "Is it?"
I think closing sentiment is when people who are like trying to get that transition. The person I think of is Darren Kirby. Do you remember Darren Kirby?
Yeah, yeah.
So board member. When he came to like the first 3-day event and he turned up, he's ripped. He's clear. He was like swimming in the mornings, running around the block. But he'd been a corporate for like 25 years, very successful. And the idea of being self-employed and entrepreneur was like alien to him because he was a high performance worker. When he understood there was a blueprint you could follow, like being an employee where he was in IT, you do the training, you get the qualifications, you then go and execute.
And it works.
He never realized there was a similar ladder to go in for entrepreneurship. And as soon as he got that, I can't remember how long it took him to quit his job, but it was less than a year. Like he was out of employment into property really quickly because he had that ability to succeed and just needed the blueprint.
Okay, leading on from that then, so we talked about blueprints. I want to know, because obviously we have, I don't know, Dan, you may know, thousands of blueprints?
Maybe
Hundreds?
not that many, but definitely hundreds.
A lot of blueprints that we teach and that we all walk the talk, we put them into our businesses. I want to know your best blueprint. So the blueprint for you, which has just been the biggest game changer, had the biggest impact on you, your life, whatever it may be, what's the best blueprint for you?
Mine is very relevant now, and it's like the hiring and onboarding blueprint.
Okay.
Um,
So world-class talent magnet.
yeah, so like the hiring slow, firing fast. Didn't follow the blueprint the first time. Bit of a disaster. Spent a lot of money, waste of time. Just felt like I was pulling my hair out. Took me about 3 months before I actually fired. Hired slow this time. World class EA, incredible talent. Doesn't cost a lot in the amount of work she does, and I'm paying more, but because of her experience, it takes her less time to do it. So it's actually cheaper than what I had before, even though the last person was a cheap hourly rate. If I'd followed it the first time, I would have saved myself thousands of pounds.
I think with that as well is like acknowledging, because people listening to this will still have challenges, is when you've got the blueprint, it's acknowledging that part of the blueprint is sometimes how to navigate when it goes wrong. So Katie said about hire slow, fire fast, which people would have heard before. We've just hired our new FD for the family office, and it took me 3 hires to get it right. But for most people, hiring an FD wrong twice would have taken years. You know, they would have wasted 2 or 3 years and hundreds of thousands of pounds. The first one I fired within 4 weeks, and the second one I fired before they'd even been fully onboarded in the first week. So like part of the blueprint sometimes is understanding when it goes wrong, what do you then do? Because we all have sites that go over budget. We all have employees that are wrong. You know, it's just, yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that element of it.
What's yours, Dan?
The probably the one I'm proudest of, and for me it's so obvious, and when you explain it to people they're like, wow, this makes complete sense, is wealth hierarchy. Like how to actually get wealthy is level one, cash flow, pay the bills, and basically buy back your time. But like Chris said earlier, when someone's offering to pay you a grand a month, 3 grand a month for an hour of your time or a day of your time, it's so hard to say no because you're used to hand to mouth money, gimme, gimme, gimme. Because as an entrepreneur, we start to make money, but actually you want to pay the bills and then stop and then start getting wealthy. So cash flow is P&L. Level two, profit, is actually your balance sheet, and it's the balance sheet that makes you wealthy. It's the P&L that makes you rich. And high overheads is just noisy employees, voids. Profit, lumps of cash, number two, and then that's on the balance sheet. The aim is to work once, buy assets, and then earn forever. That I just think is so clear now, but it took me 10 years to create it.
The revelations people have, there's normally like probably 3 revelations whenever we teach that model. The first is you should buy assets and become financially independent. That's a big one. The second is people understand why they're so stressed because they're trying to do a profit-based business. They're trying to run a construction company or a deal sourcing business, or they're trying to do flips. And they're like, right, it's stressful. because although I get paid 100 grand, I've got to last that for then 18 months till the next one comes in. Things get delayed and you're living off the spread. So like, all right, I need cash flow first. And the third revelation people have is we build these cash flow businesses, we get it to 10, 15, 20, 100 grand a month, whatever it may be, and we're covered. And then we think, well, we've already got 500 properties, or we've already got 500 clients. We're already making this amount of money. Why don't we double that and take it to 1,000? And then once again, it's just like the revelation is there's just much easier ways to make a lot more money by moving up the hierarchy. And I say like everybody who comes on PE and like experiences that, they all have one of those things that like, all right, that makes sense now.
Doing the wealth hierarchy backwards as well, and then we'll see what Chris's is I only just thought of this as you're speaking, but like level one cash flow is if getting wealthy is working once, buying assets and earning forever. Level one cash flow is the bigger the business gets, the harder the work it becomes, and the less lucrative it is for money. That's just so true.
Yeah.
And unless it's an ego driven thing, which I did with multi-layer, and some people just got to do. If you want to make money, having a big business is one of the worst ways to do it.
100%, yeah.
Mine was going to be that, because I think so. Mine is network, net wealth, and those levels. Understanding to break free of cash flow and realizing there's an ego to building it is a big one, because I think in that cash flow level, when you go up the levels in cash flow, there's new people that you meet, and then they're aspiring to get to the 100K, the £1 million month, and it's just this.
It's just like a brainwashing for maniacs, because you did it, didn't you? You had like a multi-million-pound Amazon company, the vertical integration of factories. How enjoyable was that?
Yeah, not very. Especially when it went wrong. I think the thing with cash flow as well is it's the bigger it is, the harder the fall is. So when you have a problem, which I did in my Amazon business, it was like we were on huge cash flow, huge profit a month, and then overnight it just disappeared. And I was lucky enough that I'd built like a war chest personally, no assets, but I had enough money to go, actually, I can survive this and it'll be fine. But because when you're making 100K a month, you have this arrogance that it will always be there, because how could the business stop tomorrow? So learning that blueprint was probably going to be mine, but I'll do another one because I think it's also profile related. Cave time and Sunday sanity are the two things that I don't reflect enough. Like, I'm very good at being in the moment, learning, adapting, changing, solving problems, but that's very in the day to day. Actually zooming out and thinking, what do I actually want from life? Like, what do I want in 5 years? What do I want in 3 years? What do I want in 1 year? I don't do that often enough because I don't make space for it. So actually now having space to go and think, I'm going to do a 90-minute cave session on what assets do I want to buy, or what do I want to do in my profit layer of business? That then dictates what happens in Sunday sanity, which then dictates what I'm going to do for the rest of the week, which then moves the needle forward. I think if I didn't learn that, I would still be building cash flow businesses, not because I didn't know it existed. I'm lucky enough to have known you all my life and you've been banging that drum for a very long time. But I think the reality is I could have just easily ignored it because I didn't make space to actually reflect. And that's a profile thing. It's a personality thing. So I think, yeah, cave time for me was one of the biggest game changers of actually being okay with sitting in a cafe somewhere for 90 minutes with a notebook, dreaming. Like,
Well, people are too busy doing emails. Well, they're so busy doing emails and answering WhatsApps that they don't actually take time to think about where they want to go, what they want to do.
And we take it for granted that we're privileged enough to understand that you can live your life by intention. Whether that's beast mode or best self or whatever. Most people aren't. Most people are just either floating through life or dragging themselves life, or worse, being dragged through whatever. And the fact that we can be intentional is crazy. What's yours, Josh? Favorite blueprint?
Yeah, I've got a number. I was trying to think which one my favorite would be. I think there's two for me if I'm allowed to do two. It's my topic. I was going to do two. First one I think relates to something I was talking about earlier, and that's the task triangle. I think the task triangle, when you shared that, I was like, wow, this blew my mind. And basically the concept of the task triangle is that everything you do, it doesn't necessarily mean that you get a refinance off your desk. Like, you don't necessarily mean that you never touch a refinance or refinance a property again, or you don't do anything. What it means is every single task you do has high volume, low value, medium value, and then high value, low volume. And what you're trying to do is do the high value, low volume. So you say, right, I want to refinance this property, and then you pass everything else. Right, mortgage forms come in, great. Do the forms, ask me the high value questions you need from me, great. Doing the podcast, it's like you turn up, you do the podcast, and everything else, the editing, the posting, like happens around. And the more we start to see a task, one single thing, as like a body of like lots of different workloads, and we try and sit at the top, that's my mind for that, which is I think about that all day, every day. That's number one. I think the second one we've got
Just to add another layer to that, because the reason I created that blueprint was we got to a level on the board when we was teaching that where people say, right, high value is going and finding a deal, low value is managing the refurb. The task triangle is taking each of those tasks, like finding a deal and managing a refurb, and then actually getting rid of a lot of what is already a high value task, getting rid of it. Sorry, Karen.
Well, yeah, no, it's great. And the second one I would say would just be financial fortress. So it's basically living off the steam, and it's going on that journey to basically essentially achieve financial independence. And I feel so privileged now that that was being taught to me from an early age, because now I'm in a place where I've got the businesses. I learned how to scale businesses and make money from companies, but then I put a lot of that money into assets. So low risk, low return, cash flowing assets. And it's meant that as a result now, I do business for fun and I work hard, but my overheads, my family, it's just taken care of. And I look at myself now, just feeling, honestly, that blueprint, so fortunate that I've got a pension pot that's sitting there. I've got all the cash we need. If something hit Ultimate FD or some of my other companies tomorrow and it fell apart, I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm good. And we talked about that being the top of the mountain, but that blueprint, we teach all these stuff to leverage time, reduce impact, increase our profit, use AI, all this stuff. But really, that's all to create money and create wealth so we can live off the steam. And that's the overall objective.
Yeah. I think the personal cash flow management as well, off the back of that,
100%.
is just such a game changer. People always think they need more than they actually do. And you can be living off the steam a lot earlier than you think that you can. You just don't realize that you don't need as much cash as you initially thought. No one's clear on their finances. As soon as you're clear, even if you're not in a great position, you have the relief of knowing what you need to do to get out of it. But so many people go day to day stressed about their finances. Just look what's coming in and out of your bank. That personal cash flow management was a game changer for me.
I think the attitude with that is, and this is how we frame it for people, they're like, yeah, but I'm making £1 million a year over here. I don't need to worry about how much I'm spending at Audi or Marks and Spencer's. So that's the whole principle. It's like, if you're not managing the money you're actually spending post-tax, imagine where you're going to get to pre-tax. I think the only other one, which is a game changer, is understanding the 3 levels of team. So having your dream team, where it's your mates, your neighbours, your band of brothers, your mates, your neighbours, anyone you can convince to join this crazy party you've started. Then the dream team, which is like the best you can afford. They come at 8:30, leave at 5:30, but you're trying to hold this business together. The culture's like custard, you're just constantly trying to keep it working because it's the best you can afford. But once you actually made the money, you then get the professionals in and you're just paying for experience and expertise. Like that is a game changer. Chris.
So we meet a lot of people at Blueprint Summer Retreat. And in general, there's loads of people out there who've built businesses that are busy, noisy, they're trapped within them. How do you know if you're building a new business that will give you freedom? Or how do you know if you're building another business that will act like a prison?
It's a very good question. And I don't think you can know. I think it's about how you build it and then how you manage it and structure it going forward. I think every business can be successful if it's done right. The most common thing is that people just don't run it right. They either don't have a clue what's going on in their finances, they haven't raised their profile, they haven't done any marketing campaigns, or they're just building a business for the sake of building it but don't actually know what direction they're going. That's what collapses it. It's not the actual business idea, it's how they're running it.
Do you think there's any businesses that sit outside of that? Do you think is there a type of business that's always a prison? It will always have your time.
At different times it changes. So I think one of the things I'd say is for anyone that's building any company, whether you've already built it or you're thinking about building anything, the key is for me, you always want to be swimming downstream rather than upstream. We talk about this on 3 days. Like I started my letting agency about 12 years ago, give or take. I can't remember the exact date. And that was a professional HMO letting agency. Dan was doing the same thing. Dan taught us to do it. Professional HMO letting agency. At the time, the professional HMO market was bonkers. It was just every house being turned into a HMO, and there were very few agencies that catered for that, like for multi-let management. And I never struggled to grow. That's because it was niche. It was like a niche product, and it was crest for a wave. Like the market was just booming. And like we never struggled to grow. Our challenge was always, Dan, remember, like we used to talk about all the time, like how do we like contain this? How do we like keep this working? How do we keep the service like where it needed to be? Now I get people approaching me saying, oh, like you, I'm thinking about starting a HMO professional letting agency. And I say, that's honestly one of the worst things you could do. Like that's just such a bad idea, because now you've not got the sales happening, you've not got the general growth in the market, and now you're just going to be trying to create something and competing and trying to steal properties from other agencies because the market's declining / maturing, and it's just going to be hard work. So those businesses where they're not niche, crest of a wave, and you're not looking at the economy and what's happening, there will always be a prison, in my view.
Yeah, I like that. I think one of the quotes that came up at BSR this time around was don't stack chairs on the Titanic.
The deck of the Titanic, yeah.
It's like it's a sinking ship. You don't want to do it. But so if there are businesses that are in decline, you don't want to start there. What would be the characteristics of if you're in a growing market, if it is crest of a wave, if it is something, we all know we can still get trapped in those businesses. What would be the top tips for not getting trapped or realizing you're building your own prison?
I think a few things. I think anything that's a cash flow level is a prison because it's noisy, it's got overheads, it's got employees. Just by its nature, you've got to have it, but it is just one of those businesses. And then it's just a decision as to how big and restrictive do you make that prison. That's one thing. The other thing I think is it's not like, is this going to be another prison? It's actually probably about 98% of business models are prisons. Like you can show me 100 business models, and I would probably struggle to pick out 5 that are going to be what you actually want, which is huge margins, small team, maximum enjoyment, not a prison at all, a pleasure rather than a prison. And they're so few and far between. And I could probably rattle some off for you, but they're hard to come by. And I think the final thing is when we talk about these prisons, and Josh actually said this to me about 3 or 4 years ago, and I found it really profound. And I actually started writing a song about it at the moment called Prison by My Own Design. And
didn't know this.
It's yeah, I've not shared anything with you. And it's basically about how we optimize for high performance, and we create this prison in our own heads of like, I've even had to stop wearing my Garmin because I was getting obsessed with like my resting heart rate, all that sort of stuff. And as high performers, we actually create this prison of high performance where we can't escape ourselves. Nobody else actually cares, but we like build this prison that we live in. And then the hardest thing is to get out of it. And that's actually the challenge I've had over the last probably like 3 or 4 years, is really how to shake off all those habits of like work ethic, high performance, discipline, because we create it and it's good for a while, but then after that it sort of like locks us in.
Yeah, I'd completely agree. And actually, I think one of the key things to that is
Oh, yeah.
Is it you singing?
I've sent you it.
Have you?
Yeah, have you actually listened to it?
I can listen to that on the way home.
Oh yeah, you can listen to it on my own.
Yeah, one of the things as well for me is like you often get trapped in those cycles of kind of like just going like foot to the metal, like can't stop, won't stop, no one can stop you. And I think that's where your community and mentors come in. Like I've had ideas in the mastermind where you've actually just turned around and was like, that's really not good. But you need that, like, because in your head everything's an amazing idea and everything's great and this is like going to be the best business in the world. And you need people to say like, from an outside perspective, you're trapped in your own head, this is not a good idea. And the community and network is so important in that. Like,
Mm.
there's no way I could have got where I am today without having the right people around me who tell me the harsh truth and actually tell me that that's not a good idea, or that's a great idea, but just tweak that, or you need to make it more niche, or that's too niche. Like, all these different things is like, you all think that you're the best thing in the world, but in reality, when you start speaking to people that have done it, it completely changes your perception on business. And you have to learn to take those criticisms. Some people just can't take it.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's that thing of we spoke on the way up about you can be a big fish in a small pond and everyone thinks you're amazing, or you can be a little fish in a big pond and all of a sudden you realize that new level of perspective. Because when you start a business, if none of your mates have ever done it before, they'll cheer you on. Or if you've got good mates, they'll cheer you on and make you feel like it's a bit like ChatGPT. What a great idea! Like, this is going to be amazing. But having that counter sort of, are you really sure you want to do this? Have you considered this? Have you considered this? And that level of expertise in a new room, I think that's valid. And to your point on prisons, making your own prison, I realised I didn't hire an EA for a very, very long time because although I hate admin, I actually love it as well. It's like the thing I love to complain about. I'm so busy doing emails, but because my tempo mentality, I also love replying to people. It makes me important. So when I hired an EA, one of the things that I've asked her to do, so her job is to keep me in that flow state that you said, which is the high value, low volume. It's going to be the worst thing for me because I'll feel like I'm not doing anything. I'll actually feel bad for her that she's doing the work. But it was one of my things to employ. I know my limitations. I know my profile, and I know I'm going to be a sucker for trying to do. I'll try and be her EA. It's like, no, let me get that thing for you. Let me file it for you because it's just who I am. So actually, getting out of your own prison is sometimes understanding who you are. But the only way you do that is by learning things like profiles or being in the right communities. Yeah, it's a good point.
Controversially, I think most people that are investing in property are creating a prison for themselves. I think property as a concept is a great idea, but I think people believe that they can just go in, buy some houses, get some HMOs, get some flats, get some rental properties under their belts, and that's it. And they're going to made it, and they're going to have this incredible portfolio, and they're going to earn all this money forever, and they're 10 grand a month or whatever money forever. But actually, they don't realize that in order to do this properly and to get yourself out of the prison, you need people, you need systems, you need blueprints, you need business models. I think a business model is a really good example of something people totally misunderstand, because what actually is a business model? Well, it's the rules of the game. Like, how does your business actually make money? And that applies whether you have a property business or you have a trading business. But what the big mistake people make is they do all the numbers and they go, great. So there's 6 grand a month or 10 grand a month, whatever it may be. And they go, right, where are you getting paid? Oh, well, I've got the 6 or 10 grand a month at the bottom. So, well, no, it's not a business then, is it? Because if you factor in your time, your energy, and you paid yourself the market rate, you want to have the 6, 10, 20, 30 grand at the bottom post that, not pre that. And I think a real business pays the founder to do the work as well. And I think that's the big mistake, because you're always in a prison if you are not factoring in your salary, because if you don't factor in your salary and the business doesn't work, if you pays you a salary, you can never bring somebody else in to replace you. So I think most entrepreneurs are scaling prisons, to be honest. And I think, to echo Dan's point, I've seen behind the scenes of hundreds of companies, millions and millions of pounds worth of revenue, and businesses that are actually doing really well, where they've got high margins, they're in the sweet spot, high margins, clients that love them, and like minimal director time and involvement. I'd say it's like less than 1%. It's so rare. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about what we do, because I think we can help people on that journey make it happen, but it requires just a totally different way of, a different mindset, a different way of thinking.
Some people listening to this, finish off the round, are going to be thinking, well, what are these mystical like unicorns you're talking about? Just to rattle off a few businesses or business models right now that you could have that wouldn't be a prison, what would we say? I would say like back-to-back leasing as a strategy. Have 3 blocks of flats on leases that can make you 100 grand a year, and you can have an EA run it for you 5 hours a week. Like that's as good as it gets.
I say any kind of AI consultancy right now, it's high margin, easy to put in
As
place.
soon as you use the word consultancy, though, I'm just like, that's working for money, right?
Well, what I've managed to do is turn that consultancy into like with the right people, you can take a lot of that stuff away.
Yeah.
And
not that there's anything wrong with cash flow businesses. I'm just thinking about all the things we've talked about so far. If you were to have your cake and eat it and have a business that's like really lucrative and leveraged and not a prison, what would they be?
Long leases. So buy to lease, back-to-back leasing. For me, still Amazon. Product businesses where it's leveraged, I think, is still really good.
And to be fair, I did actually recommend to one of the board members AI consultancy recently because they're really good at it and they were going to create products and sell it. And I was like, that sounds hard work. Why don't you just go in and plug yourself in at £1,000 an hour or whatever?
If you move away, I think one of the shifts people make as well. If you move, so if it's like if tick, it's crest wave. So like AI, for example, it's niche. Okay, you're targeting a specific group of people or whatever it may be. You've got a business model that's sound, which works without you, and that's the key point. And then you don't sell products, you sell packages. So you're not selling, right, this is my time. You sell a package where you're going to get an output. I think you make any kind of consultancy work well, but people get in the trap of like, I'm the consultant, which is the problem.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, well said. Right, last but not least. So we have clients that pay us pay you guys thousands of pounds to train them, coach them, mentor them. And on Property Entrepreneur, our cheapest package is about 12 or 15,000. Top level, board level is like £40,000 a year. With my full permission, what we're going to do for the next 10 minutes is give away what our clients normally pay thousands or tens of thousands of pounds for, completely free of charge. We'll just rattle around quick wins, tips, secrets, hacks, blueprints. What's the highest value stuff you can give away now that you would normally charge thousands for? And we'll give it completely for free.
Know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers in health, wealth, or your life by design, you're going to get nowhere, because to actually move forward, you've got to know where you are right now. Finance was a big mental blocker of mine. I'm a blaze. I hate it. I hate looking at it. It baffles me. Every time I look at it, I just want to cry and curl up in a ball. But it got made simple. And I mean, I use UFD, to be fair, not a plug for them, but they genuinely do make it really, really easy for me to understand. And I've got the 4 professionals. I know exactly who I need in a really easy way. And I can see that the business is growing in the right direction. And they point out any discrepancies. They just make my life so much easier. But also on the health side, if I don't know my numbers on the health side, I start putting on weight, I stop training, my rest and heart rate goes up, all of that stuff. But it's like consistency. And as soon as I start seeing those trends, I know that I'm slipping off and I've got to get back to it.
Well, that's a good secret because we don't actually share this outside of Advance, but we say there's 3 numbers you need. You want your financial independent number, which is what percentage of your annual outgoings are covered from assets. The second is health, which is your metabolic age, which you do through Bluecrest. And the third is life by design, which is a scorecard. We can't give you it because it's not available, but that would be a scorecard based on general satisfaction of how you spend your time.
I'm 12 metabolically, by the way, guys.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
It's younger
You
than-
need to delete social media, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm banned.
Chris?
I'll go for marketing. One of the biggest things right now is lean into paid ads. I think so many people come to events, to Advance, and when I ask people who are running paid ads right now in the room, it's like 5%. The reality is, in a world where the fog is descending on social media, everyone can release new content. It's so hard to get leads from there. So whether you're looking for investors, looking for properties, trying to sell a product, trying to sell a service, paid ads is the biggest one, and building a future-proof funnel is probably the second, which is we fight so hard in the day-to-day life of business to get leads, and then we do absolutely nothing with them. They go in the keep net and they either buy or they don't. The ability to then put them somewhere and nurture them and have them at your disposal to sell to when you're ready to sell, when campaign season comes along, the difference between a successful campaign and a non-successful campaign is the profile that you built in the 12 months before. So I think from a education perspective, pull people into a funnel and have somewhere to keep them if they don't buy. They are worth their weight in gold. Raise your profile now, even if you don't think you need one. It's going to be the thing that keeps you moving forward in business. And then the art of actually closing people. People don't realize that to close someone successfully, you need to speak about 30% of the time. Most people try and sell and tell them why it's an amazing thing to do. If you can tap into, and it's what we teach, if you can tap into the desire to buy and the problem that's solved, like sell them what they want and give them what they need, that is an absolute game changer that just people aren't doing.
Nice. Josh?
There's so much. I think one of the things I talk about, and we talk about consistently on mentoring, is probably the busy fall. So being busy is not a badge of honor. And like, how do you go away from being busy? We do things like the task triangle, all this kind of systems and management tools you can put in place to make things more efficient. Also choosing businesses that aren't niche, crest of a wave, and you're swimming downstream versus upstream. I spent a lot of time speaking to particularly my masterminders around how bad some of the ideas are.
Thanks
Take it
for
with a pinch
looking
of
at me
salt.
then.
No, so what I mean is, it's like, I think one of the things I'm a big fan of is like really trying to crush entrepreneurial optimism, like really like taking all the life out of every single person. No, I'm just kidding, but do you know what I mean? Like some of the ideas are really bad, and like we talked about it before, it's like, yeah, that's great. It sounds like a great idea. Show me the business model for it. Like show me the cold hard facts, the returns, the rules, like how's this actually going to work? I think that's a massive one. If people just understood business modeling, that would change the game for a lot of them.
And honestly, I completely agree with it. It's the entrepreneurial naivety. Everyone thinks ideas are like the golden egg. They're not. Ideas are 10 a penny. Like, having an idea or concept or a model that works is the challenging bit. Probably the two that I think is, and people will have heard us say it, but they don't understand how profound it is. And on the 3-day summer retreat, it's in the first day is sort of framing it with these mantras. The first is it's all a game. And Shiv put a little video in the board group this week saying about people on their deathbed, look back and realise, oh wow, that was just, nothing was actually as important as you thought. And I don't mean it in like a blasé, laissez-faire way. I mean more about just understanding it's a game and it's there to be played. And I think that in its right context is worth its weight in gold. And then the second is the other mantra that you teach on the 3-day is success and failure are very predictable. Like there is no, people think success is this magical wand or like landing the lucky numbers. Like it really isn't. Success and failure are very predictable. If you look at if you find the people who've made it to the top or made it to where you want to get to, there's a trodden path to be followed. You don't need to recreate the wheel. You don't need to come up with new stuff. I mean, every time someone brings me something new, I can usually tell them why it won't work and why it would fall back to the previously proven blueprint.
Yeah, 100%. Like we spoke about it on the May Blueprint Summer Retreat. Actually, it's like if someone showed us their Tuesday, we're going to know how their life is going to turn out, because it's either going to be like world class, like this is what you need to be doing, or it's going to be like you wake up, you doom scroll, you have a little like wander around the house, you stay in your pajamas all day, and it's like quite obvious where people are going to go. But one of the other things as well is like, I think you described it as collateral, like having like raising your profile in advance, like having a book, having a podcast, not there to make money, not there to actually like raise any finance, but so that you build that know, like, and trust, and people can get to know you before they actually come and buy from you. And that's been a real key part of this summer. I'm doing a lot of like networking and speaking, and people don't question it anymore. They just go, oh, well, she's a #1 Amazon bestseller. She speaks for property entrepreneurs. She's got a podcast. Like she obviously knows what she's doing, and they just accept you. And it's like, I never thought I'd get to that point, but it's all about doing it before you need it.
Every month, somebody will replicate something we do and try and rip it off on a podcast or a program or a new product they've created. And Adam gets a lot more emotional about it because he's a blaze. I'm just like, don't worry. Whenever you're baking bread, there's always going to be people running around trying to pick up the crumbs. But the other thing is, the highest, and we talk about this again on the blueprint, is the highest ROI you'll ever get is from having a profile. And I think it's actually higher than that. It's not just a profile, which could be created in weeks or months now. It's what I would call brand equity. And brand equity is like if someone's going to try and replicate property entrepreneur. So what's our brand equity as a company? Well, we've been using the blueprints for over 20 years. We've been teaching other people how to use them for 13 years. We've got thousands of clients who've completed it. We've got hundreds of people who become financially independent. We've been rated world class for the last 7 years. We've got a solid reputation, a solid profile. We've got all these case studies and deals we've done. £100 million worth of projects delivered, existing portfolio in the 8 figures, still doing £3 to £5 million net profit a year. You put all of that together, and that reputation that someone can build, as long as you protect it, and you have to protect it like, Warren Buffett says, takes 20 years to create and 5 minutes to ruin. You've got to do the difficult decisions to protect that profile. I think what people won't appreciate is actually having that track record and reputation as an investor or an entrepreneur is invaluable. And anything people can do to build that for themselves, it just compounds and it compounds and it compounds over years.
I think there's a couple of other ones as well. So I think what's interesting is I was thinking like some of the stuff that we're constantly mentoring on and helping people of it. So a lot of it's the basics, but also a lot of it's the really advanced stuff as well. And what I mean by that is like the basics. Like people come and they're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do these multi-million-pound developments or do whatever. And it's like, yeah, okay, but are you planning your week? Are you planning your year? Are you working out what you want to do and breaking that down? And that's like Sunday sanity. Oh, I want to run a marathon. I want to do X, Y, Z. Yeah, but do you have habits? Like your handful of habits. You have all these basic blueprints that everyone undervalues. They're like, yeah, but these are just the basics. You must do these things for as a framework. But then you have all these really high level strategic things as well, where it's like, right, if you're going to do a deal, don't do this kind of deal. And somebody's already doing that kind of deal, and they're like, "Oh, should I listen to this or should I just continue onwards?" And it's like I spend a lot of times like speaking to people saying, "Look, you've heard, but you've not really listened," and we have to like pull people back and say, "Look, slow down, have a look at what you're doing, understand what we've said, and then implement it." 'Cause it's much harder when you've got momentum to actually listen to what someone's telling you, to almost pull back, stop, and then change course. And the people that do listen do really well. The people that don't, they just bury their head in the sands and they just crack on.
Last quick one from everyone to finish, and just to sort of qualify exactly what Josh is saying there. I was on a podcast last week, and they asked me about the secrets to success, and I said I had a client once or a mentee once, and I sat on their board, and I said to you, "What's the biggest?" He went from like 0 to 6 figures in a year. It was bonkers, 6-figure profit in a year, and I said, "What was the biggest challenge you've had on this journey?" And he said, you don't understand or appreciate how challenging it is, or how much courage it takes to listen to your mentor. And what that means is when your mentor's giving you the advice, slow and steady wins the race, don't skip the gears, it's very hard to listen to it because you're enthusiastic, optimistic, and you see them as boring, old, whatever, slow, and you think you know better, and it actually takes, everyone's looking at Josh now. It takes courage to actually listen to what he's got to say. That's my closing sentiment. Katie, last one from you.
Oh yeah, no, that's like unbelievable. If you can learn to listen and actually execute on what someone with the experience is telling you and just trust them. I think trust is a big thing as well. It's like, why should I trust you? This isn't your business. Game changing. Mastermind and Josh, like you've genuinely helped me build my business. And I like lived by like I just do what you tell me to do. Like if I'm paying to be there, then I have to trust the process. And so far it's worked out pretty well. So, and it's the same with the blueprints, trust the process. Like I have so many ideas right now and I want to go full steam ahead in summer in campaign and sales. I love sales. I am just trusting the process and holding myself back. And it is so hard, like, especially as a Blaze, you just want to go all in all the time. So being able to pull back and just wait until that go time is really difficult. But I can see everything coming together because of that. And if I did go all out, everyone would probably just be fed up with me by now.
Josh?
Well, I think having a mentor is very important. I've worked with all three of you in different capacities, and you've all given me advice in different areas of my life, and I think it's been next level. I'm quite good at following the advice. Like well, to an extent. I'm a mechanic, and if you tell me something in a logical way and understand it, I don't smile. It's fine.
I won't throw you under the bus right now.
I'm generally pretty good. There's some
You
times
are.
I'm generally pretty
you are
good.
good.
I've got to execute, so I don't necessarily have an issue with like following it or listening. Like I'm quite good at that bit. I think the biggest thing for me is not only having mentors, but where I blame a lot of my success on mentors, being part of this community and knowing all you guys, but also just being around people that are doing something similar. Like the amount of bits of advice I've had where I've been on the PE ski trip and I've been with Sen or Martin or somebody in the bar, and they've just come up to me and they've just said something to me, and it's just stuck, like I said to you, and it's just I'm not writing songs about it, but it's stuck in.
You will be after you hear mine.
It's stuck in my head, and it's like it's totally changed things for me, like totally changed my trajectory and path. So I think it's not only having good mentors, but it's having people around you that are on a similar journey, doing similar things, that are willing to give you feedback. So I find that's very rare. Like someone actually saying no, telling you I've got a bad idea. That's why I revel in it. When I genuinely think something's not good, I want somebody to tell me that, and I want someone to give me that. But that's so rare you actually get that.
And we all need that. It doesn't matter what level you're at. The right conversation in the right company. We was in a mentoring call the other day, and Shiv come on. Shiv's been on the board for 10 years. He knows this stuff inside out like you do. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking about doing this and this and this." Had this idea. You could tell he got really excited about it. Sorry about this, Shiv, if you're listening.
Yeah.
And I basically said, "He said, what do you think?" I said, "Terrible idea." I said, "Like, sounds like a terrible idea." And then we explored the detail. And there's some legs in it, but sometimes you need that to, you need that mirror to be held up.
But some people don't listen. So some people don't listen, they're not interested in listening, and some people say they want it and they don't actually want it. Yeah,
No,
it takes
some,
quite
yeah.
a different person to like take the feedback and actually hear it, listen to it, and actually do something about it.
And you can tell the difference. The high performers say, "Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to share it." Even if inside they're dying because you've just told them
But that's the best stuff.
you don't want to listen to their new music that
Yeah.
they've been creating on AI. But whereas the other people will get defensive, they'll hear the feedback and get defensive, and all that means is they know they're in the wrong. They know it's a mistake, but they don't have the self-awareness to suck it up. Chris, to finish.
So with mentors, I think humans naturally want confirmation bias. You want to go and share an idea with the 5 people that are most likely to agree with you. So if you have a mentor that always agrees, it's obviously going to be the wrong thing. I think if you found a good mentor or a good peer group, if you're naturally nervous to share an idea for the fact that it might get shot down. I think tuning into that is such a big thing. And then actually something a mentor shared with me, which was you, Dan, which was, and I'm a sucker for this, don't try and fly too many kites. Like that whole thing of, we all have so many ideas, especially as entrepreneurs. It's like they're a dime a dozen. You said it earlier. In a world where you've got a dime a dozen ideas, if you try and do them all, none of them will take off. You need to fly that one rocket to the moon. So I think if you're going to commit 1 year to something, make sure that new chapter, that year of, is the only thing you focus on, because you'll make more, you'll gain more distance in a year than you would in 10 if you ignored your mentor, if you ignored the blueprints, if you ignored the one thing that you want. You'll think you're getting so much more from everything else, but it just never works.
Amazing. Well, that is decades of experience. That is hundreds of blueprints and the experience and lessons we've had from thousands of clients coming through it over the last 13 years. Thank you everyone for joining us. That's been 8 rounds.